Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Preview for another week. Hayden King joining you for this week's edition, and we have got a fair few cracking races coming up over the weekend on Friday and Saturday at both Mandurah and Cannington. We're going to start off at Mandurah on Friday, but before we do, James Broadhurst, although he's not here, he had a chat with Ian Bunny concerning Ray John Zatara, who's shooting for 8 in a row this Friday night.
Ian, Ray John Zatara's won 7 in a row. The dog is going really well at the moment. What's the secret to the success?
That early speed of his is the key to everything. Once he gets out and musters, he's gone, and it's pretty hard to catch him up.
Have you ever had a dog like this before?
I've had a couple there before with early speed, but not like this one. This one just flies first split.
He's been able to do it over the 300 and now also over the 400 as well?
Yeah, well, he started at the 4, but he had a few problems, so I put him back to the 3.
You've given him the week off leading up to the race on Friday night. Probably comes into what would be one of his toughest tests. When a dog's racing like this, do you get the feeling that he can just take on anything and beat them?
Well, yeah. He's in the right mind. He should be right to do anything.
There we go, Ray John Zatara. Can he keep that picket fence going? We'll find out, and we're about to have a look at a couple of races from Mandurah on Friday night. We'll start off with race number 6, and good field engaged here. Papa Mono comes up with the inside draw, and he was emphatic, scoring last Saturday night here at Cannington. Got to the outside, and mid-race there was only one dog you wanted to be on when he was chiming in, and he finished all over the top of Yahoo Serious to score there over the 600. Goes back to the 490, which is interesting, and given how he got off the track last time out, it'll be intriguing as to how he positions from box number 1 and how far back he settles. Gario in box number 2 has some speed. Nova Nugget showed really good box speed last time out when leading and eventually finishing 3rd, so he could be a pace angle. Painkiller was fair when running 7th at Cannington last Saturday. Unsee This was an early contender over the 600 last week and then got headed off by Yahoo Serious, and he found the line fairly, but you'd have to say he's not quite at his absolute top at the moment, and Energetic drawn out in box number 8. I think if Papa Mono does get the run of things and he can find that clear air, he'll be very hard to beat. 490 shouldn't be a real obstacle. He's been successful over that distance in the past, and I think he'll take no end of beating in race number 6. Over the page to race number 7 on the card. Weston Cobra's in box number 1. He's probably slightly below what he can do at the moment as well, and he's got Bones McCoy next door, who was very big in winning here last Saturday over the 380 metres. He didn't really have a right to win that race, considering he wasn't the best into stride. He dwelt, but he still was able to shoot up to the mid-race, found the front, and he was dogged in fighting them all off to score. Rebellion Bay's actually racing quite well. I was encouraged by that 4th last time out here, was close up and didn't have the best of luck. And then we've got the dog we just spoke about, Ray John Zatara, in box number 4, has all that early speed and he is likely to find the front. I think it's a case of how close Bones McCoy can sit to Ray John Zatara, to who wins the race. Ray John Zatara has been in fine form, as we alluded to. Turbo Fun out in box number 5. Weston Fever in 6 was able to position up close enough last week and was able to run down Redhead Rider. Got fairly mobile in the early stages, and that proves the difference. Sozan's Azuri's racing really well, is the one out in box number 7 that could play a part from the deep. And Redhead Rider, another that has early speed. I was big on Redhead Rider last week. Just thought there might be a little bit of trouble in behind, but Weston Fever was able to sit close enough and was able to nudge out Redhead Rider. But Redhead Rider's still a progressive type, and although probably needs it a bit easier, will certainly continue to acquit itself well. So that's Mandurah on Friday night. Then we turn over the page to Cannington on Saturday evening. I'll be out here, so really looking forward to broadcasting the action from Cannington on Saturday night. Just before we do, Morgan Turner is in good form. He had Triumph Manelli score last night at Mandurah, and he'll be aiming for more success with Columbus Manelli, who was the name on everyone's lips last week, recording such a dazzling success. Coming from last at the post the first time, was able to round them up. Looked impossible mid-stages, but continued to trim up that margin, reduced it, and eventually hit the front in in the shadows of the post to get up and score. And Columbus Manelli, a name to remember, is making his mark on greyhound racing here in the West after only a couple of starts. And here's what Morgan had to say when catching up with James Broadhurst.
Well, Morgan, very exciting victory from Columbus Manelli last Saturday. Everyone's talking about this run. Take us through the action.
I thought he was going to come undone in that race. Even before we boxed him, I thought the 5 would come across because it was quicker early than him. And yeah, I thought it would just be a good education piece for him to see how he'd go through the field. And he went well. Probably the 380 boxes, he was still last going around the first bend and had his work cut out for him. And yeah, it surprised everyone, I think, how well he worked through the field and got the victory.
Seeing a dog come home like that must be a huge thrill.
Yeah, for sure. I prefer letting all the way. But it was exciting to watch for sure.
Yeah, of course. Look, he's had the 2 wins now from the 2 starts. Of course, his maiden win was also very notable, but for a different reason. Look, is it too early to start talking this dog up yet, or are you seeing signs that he is going to be a pretty good chaser?
He's been pretty good since day one, since we were trialling him. I've had high hopes from the start.
So this Saturday, you've got another novice with him from box 7. How do you like the look of this race?
Yeah, I think it'll still be challenging, for sure. I did see the anchor ropes in 8, so they ran a good race last week. We'll just put him in and see how it goes, I guess.
There we go, Morgan Turner, who caught up with James Broadhurst just before, and best of luck to him and Columbus Manelli, who goes around in race number 5 this Saturday. If he can position up close enough, look out, he'll be coming home with a wet sail. Now, action this Saturday. We're going to start off with race number 2 for the preview. And at number 1, Hecton's Boy comes up with box number 1. Was fair last week, settled up on pace and ground his way into 3rd. Fabian's Gold was back and never really was able to make up any inroads in that same race. And the one who took that contest out was number 5, Zarbel. Finally, he rewarded me for my persistence and perseverance with him, and he produced what I know he can when he was able to race away and record a very convincing success. Between those greyhounds, Danielle keeping in box 4 will drop out, get back, and up to the 7:15 metres will help. Major Sacrifice showed all that early pace that he has, and he was able to run out a ready winner at Mandurah last Friday. He could potentially lead the race. It's just a question of how close Zarbel sits, I think, though. And Pilbara out in box number 8, who chased home Major Sacrifice's shadow last week. Brings us to race number 4 on the card, the 520 metre free-for-all. Stone Cold Augie, drawn in 1, has Momentum Next Door, who was there to win his race last week. Things didn't go absolutely perfectly for him, but he couldn't run down Ripon Tomahawk. It was a good run nonetheless. Eagle Manelli, who returns to the West in box number 4, he creates a lot of interest. Ripon Tomahawk, who was able to lead last week, and he held them all at bay. I think he's gone to another level in the last few weeks, Ripon Tomahawk, and he's showing what he really can do. Weston Bray out in box number 7 and Jimmy's Decision out in box number 8, who, despite a string of interference, was still able to run home very, very creditably for 3rd position last week. I think if he sits close enough, Jimmy's Decision, he'll take a lot of holding out. I don't think box 8 will prove a significant obstacle. He gets that room early and he just needs to avoid interference. I guess the question is him getting caught off the track on that first turn, but I think he'll be pretty hard to beat, Jimmy's Decision. Race number 6 on the program. We've got the Auto Owls Bentley Best WA bred Canning's final, and Panama Pepper returns to WA in box number 1. Trialled up here on Monday. It was a steward's trial when I was on course, and he was able to do that stylishly. He looked good in 29.91, and I think the thing most gratifying for Connections would be that he got around safely. He's had an unfortunate affliction with the Cannington circuit in the past, but he was able to do it and he looked good. I think on Saturday night, if he can position up close enough or potentially lead, should be just about game over. Falcon 9 has been racing well. That was a good second. He stuck on gamely at Mandurah last time out. West on Radar, Blockchain drawn the centre of the line. Really liked Blockchain's win 2 starts ago, and then things didn't go right here last time out. Zeke was cut down here over the 520 after getting away with a mid-race lead. He would have to lead to be a factor in a race like this again, and like you, drawn on the outside, was burnt off by throttle in the early stages last week. But Panama Pepper, he is one of the most exciting greyhounds here in WA, and it's great to see him back at Cannington especially, and hopefully he can get it done for Connections. And then finally, race number 9 on Saturday night. We've got a good field engaged over the 600. Yahoo Serious, who led and was chopped down by Papa Mono last time out. Amplified, who was able to bounce back to winning ways at Mandurah last week. Didn't actually lead in the early stages, but chiselled up and was able to run away. Looked good in succeeding there. Sunset Whistler, into that first turn, he was the dog you wanted to be on when he could sit that close. He was charging up into third position, and then he only had Zeke to run down, and he was able to do that and won quite well. It's a case of how close he can sit again over the 600 metres. Soda Seville was caught out over the 7:15 last time out. Zabel was too strong at the end of that, but he has got that tactical speed early to put himself into the fray. And Exhilarate, who was a good second last time out here at Cannington, got a fair way back in the run and was the one who was finishing off best of the peloton there back in the field. So interesting to see how he goes, and a really good field engage there over the 600 at Cannington on Saturday. In terms of a best bet, I'm going to Cannington tonight. Race 2, number 2, Red Hot Savloy. I'm with the Sausage Dog. I was pretty keen on this dog last start, and he was well backed in at a price. Just found a bit of trouble in the early and mid stages, and that proved significant. I think if he gets a clear run tonight, he'll be pelting home all over the top, and I could see that happening. I think $5 on Tab Touch is a very acceptable price, so pretty keen. Race 2, number 2, Red Hot Savloy. Well, that brings us to the end of the preview for this week. Best of luck on the punting front, and I hope you enjoy all the greyhound action. Very much looking forward to joining you again here at Cannington on Saturday night.